What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Big John from Bodyforward, also known as Graduate Cock. The glycemic index and the glycemic load and how it could help you reduce the fat on your body. Now, a glycemic index. You hear this a lot with diabetics, but it could also be for people who are wanting to lose weight too. Now, whenever we eat a carbohydrate, it has a certain level of blood glucose. Now, the glycemic index is designed to show you what level of blood glucose that is in that carbohydrate, which is in that type of food. So, if I'm eating a carbohydrate that has a high glycemic index, it means that it's going to elicit a high blood glucose response in the body. It has high blood glucose. Now, why does high blood glucose, or why does blood glucose have a role to do with being fat? Well, the more glucose you have in your system, the more the body produces insulin. Now, insulin is a hormone designed to push glucose into the cells. It's a guiding system. It guides them in. Now, if there's too much blood glucose in the body, or if it's high, it's going to elicit a higher spike of insulin. Now, the higher the insulin goes, the more of a chance you have of developing fat. That's the whole difference. That's the whole reasoning behind it. And as you see, most type 2 diabetics are overweight, are obese. That's one of the reasons why. Now, when insulin does direct the blood glucose into the cells for energy, it also gets stored in the liver and also turns into fat. So that's why you want to blunt your insulin responses as best as possible. That's why they have an index to determine what foods are actually higher and what foods are lower. For instance, if I have, let's say, any quick absorbing carbohydrate like a bagel or a cookie, it's going to be a high glycemic index. That's why when they say if you want to lose weight, stop eating cookies and cakes and pies. So that's one of the reasons. Now, if I ate a very low glycemic food, such as certain fruits, it's going to blunt the insulin response. So it's going to be a shorter spike because I'm not having that much blood glucose. So understand, if I need more of the insulin to push the glucose in, my body's going to make that. And as you can see, that's why when you keep making more and more and more, the body becomes insulin resistant, as they say. And your body has to produce more and more and more insulin, and that's when you get susceptible to type 2 diabetes. And that's when you have a problem with being fat, and that's when it keeps on cycling over and over and over, repeating. So that's the whole point of a glycemic index. Now, there's a lot of talk now that the glycemic index is great, but there's also something called the glycemic load. And that is the overall response that these carbohydrates have on the system, that affect the system. So, let's say, for instance, a banana may be a medium glycemic food. Overall, with everything you're eating throughout the day and the overall composition, what it has on the system is low glycemic load. It doesn't hold as much weight as all other foods, as other carbohydrates do. So basically, it's like a ratio of an odds ratio. It's an odds ratio, basically, right? Let's say, for an example, to make it more clear, an analogy being used, let's say they say exercise increases brain growth by 300%, neuron growth by 300%. You may say, wow, that's amazing. My brain is getting 300 times the knowledge needed. 300 times, 300 more neurons are being produced. 300% more neurons are being produced. 3 times the amount. No. 300% for 1% of your overall brain composition. So yes, for that 1%, is it going to increase it? Yes, but it's only 1%. It's getting increased 3 times. Very low and very minuscule on a wide scale, remember. So, the glycemic index is designed to show the amount of blood glucose and the level of blood glucose that's in your system that's going to elicit an insulin response, either a high or low insulin response. And the glycemic load is what does that carbohydrate, what does that food have on the overall effect of the system. As always, I hope this helps. I know it's very confusing. If you need more info on it, just give me a shout out. You know where to reach me. Go to www.body-forward.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and to get you started losing weight, hit that free nutrition report. Take care, guys.